Today, Bitcoin drops to the $62,000 level to start off the new month and quarter. And the founder of the National Policy Network of Women of Color in Blockchain discusses a letter that she and other Web3 advocates sent to the Harris-Walz campaign. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos. Crypto markets are in the red to kick off Q4. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin dropped 1.5%, trading at $62,600. Ether fell nearly 2.8%, trading at the $2,500 level. And Solana fell 3%, trading just shy of $150. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Galaxy Digital CEO Mike Novogratz joined Squawk Box this morning to discuss how he believes Bitcoin will behave through the projected global macro environment.
Almost more importantly than what the U.S. is doing is what China just did, right? We've got now the two biggest economies in the world, cutting rates and pumping liquidity into the system. And at the same time, we're going to have an election. And either candidate wins, we're going to have a lot more regulatory clarity.
Now, Trump has positioned himself as a pro-crypto candidate. He's launched NFT projects and put his support behind the yet-to-be-launched DeFi platform, World Liberty Financial. He was also the headline speaker at Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville. But Novogratz reiterated his optimism for regulatory clarity on digital assets, regardless of who wins the election.
I spent a lot of time speaking to people around the Harris campaign. The one thing that comes clear is this is going to be a first-term presidency, not a second Biden term. And that means different personnel, different policies. They are going to shift away from the Elizabeth Warren faction, which really, I think most Democrats realized it was a fool's errand.
Next, investment platform Robinhood will let European customers transfer crypto in and out of its app. Robinhood said users in the EU will be able to transfer more than 20 different digital currencies through the platform, including Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, and USDC. Now, this will allow customers to self-custody tokens purchased on the platform. Robinhood has ramped up its international expansion since launching Robinhood Crypto in the EU last December. Now, Johan Kerbrat, the general manager of the company's crypto unit, told CNBC that the EU can become a very attractive market next year, pointing to the rollout of MiCA, which serves as a regulatory framework for digital assets in the region. Last, Ohio's Republican State Senator Neeraj Antani introduced a bill to allow crypto as payment for state and local taxes and fees. Senator Antani introduced the bill yesterday and said that Ohio should do everything to normalize the use of cryptocurrencies, thereby encouraging innovation and free enterprise in the state. The bill seemingly excludes CBDCs as it lays out that the term cryptocurrency does not include a national currency. State Senator Antani says Ohio was the first state to accept crypto tax payments in 2018, but stopped the following year on advice that the State Board of Deposits should approve the measure first. This has yet to happen. All right, for our main story, the vice presidential debate is tonight in New York City. Ahead of that showdown between the VP nominees for both major parties, a crypto advocacy group just sent a letter to the Harris-Walz team, urging a meeting to discuss crypto policy. Cleve Mesidor, the founder of the National Policy Network of Women of Color in Blockchain, helped draft that letter, and she spoke with Crypto World's Jordan Smith about the need for a regulatory framework. Plus, she lays out some of the policy recommendations outlined in the letter.
All right, thank you so much for being here. So the National Policy Network for Women of Color in Blockchain, along with members of the industry, sent this letter to the Harris-Walz campaign requesting the chance to meet with them and explain to their policy team crypto issues, namely a regulatory framework and the importance of crypto in the United States. I'm curious why you chose to send this letter now. Does it have to do with the reports that we've been getting that the Harris campaign has become more friendly to crypto industry? Walk me through your thinking of sending this letter.
Yes, diverse leaders have been doing this work since 4 years ago when Biden and Harris first were elected. Diverse leaders back in 2000 when they elected sent an open letter similarly asking for inclusive policy making. We even hosted blockchain inauguration forum back in 2021. So we've been calling for this. And obviously, since the candidate became Kamala Harris, we did one of those virtual calls back on August 1st and came together, not just to support Kamala Harris, but to call for specific policy recommendations. we knew her, position on this issue would evolve. We knew it would happen slowly. So we took the time to craft a letter that really articulated the ways that we think this industry, Web3 and DeFi, aligns with not just her priorities, but democratic priorities around economic growth and, job growth. And so that's why the timing works for us now. We've really articulated where we think that this administration, this campaign should actually function differently. But also, I do think that, the Harris Walz campaign has really been engaging with CEOs, wealthy executives, but the largest segments of this industry are Black, Latino, Indigenous, API. And we have a voice, and we want a say in this policy-making conversation.
You mentioned there that you organized around one of those many, many calls that we saw for the Kamala Harris campaign at the onset of her bid for president. I'm curious why, from a crypto perspective, you think it's important to push her on the issue, especially when some would argue that former President Trump is potentially a stronger ally for crypto, at least currently. I mean, from Trump's perspective, he's been pretty vocal about his support for the industry, including a crypto project that he himself backs. Have you engaged with the Trump campaign at all, and why are you engaging with Harris the way that you are?
Well, crypto is a democratic issue when it comes to policy, and we need champions across both aisles, right? So we need Democratic champions, we need Republican champions, and the work that I've done has been with, Democrats and Republicans who care about inclusion. Now, I will say I am a Democrat. I served in the Obama administration. I worked in Congress for 2 Democratic members. So that's where that bet comes. And let's be honest, right? We know that Black and Latino communities tend to lean Democrat. So we're not going to be disingenuous. But I am concerned about the way that the Trump campaign has approached this with a lot of promises. And as somebody who, again, served in the Obama administration, worked in Congress, I know these issues are not easy to implement. And I know that if you don't have a bipartisan approach and a bipartisan, support of champions across both chambers, you're not going to move this forward. So I prefer the tempered approach of Kamala Harris to Trump's whatever you want, we can do it. But again, I actually do not think this election will be decided at the top of the ticket when it comes to crypto policy. And when it comes to crypto policy, it is the down ballots this election cycle that will really have an impact on policy and in the future of Web3 and DeFi.
I do want to specifically talk about that focus on down ballot races and Congress specifically, because that body does have to pass a lot of the legislation that ends up on the president's desk. But before I get there, I want to go back to something in the bulk of the letter that you talk about, which is this growth among diverse communities using cryptocurrencies. You talk about usage among Black, Latino, Indigenous communities, and others. Why do you think support for crypto is growing among these groups? And what regulations are you looking to hear from the candidates to bolster that support?
Well, I want to clarify one thing in your statement. Support is not growing. We have been the industry since the beginning. Since 2009, diverse communities have always been the largest segments of the industry. There's data from the federal government that shows this, from Harris's poll, from the Chicago North polling. The data shows that in the U.S., the largest holders of cryptocurrencies are non-white. Even this whole crypto voter we keep hearing about, that person is urban, is younger, and is diverse. So it's a misnomer that communities of color are just now adapting in crypto. Absolutely. With COVID, we saw a whole bunch of, diverse people get into this space. But the largest segment of Web3 and DeFi has always been diverse. And that's the only data we actually have shown. And that's because of economic freedom. That is because, in the US, if money has always worked for you, you're not looking to alternatives. But when Bitcoin was created and people who always had to look to alternatives because they could not access the traditional financial system, Bitcoin was appealing, right? So today, we are invisible figures in a space that we actually created. So make no mistake, there would not be a $2 trillion crypto market without diverse entrepreneurs, startups, innovators, as well as holders.
As a final point, I want to go back to the thing that we were talking about earlier, which is this idea that, you're talking to the top of the ticket with this letter, but a lot of this legislation has to come from Congress. You're talking about market structure rules. You're talking about budgeting for different regulatory agencies. All of that has to go through Congress, and that brings into focus the down ballot races. Are you also engaging on that front? And what are the types of conversations you're having with lawmakers that eventually have to pass bills to get to the president's desk, regardless of who's in office in 2025?
Yes. Again, it has to be a bipartisan approach, but to date, we've had more Republicans, champion this space, so we need more Democrats. So when it comes to this election, I'm excited about Julie Johnson, who's running in Texas, who's running for Colin Allred's seat. Her campaign policies include cryptocurrency and blockchain. So she's a real champion who has put in policy that she will actually champion the industry if she gets to Congress. The same thing with Shamari Figures out of Alabama, who's a champion of, crypto, who does look at it from a financial inclusion. So, new members like them will actually change the policy framework for this industry. But also, there's a new breed of legislators in Congress when you look at, Marie Pelota, and also, there's a new breed of members of Congress that are excited about crypto that we want to champion, right? It's Sidney Kamlager It's Sidney Kamlager Dove. It's, Jasmine Crockett, right? It is Mary Pelota. It is Mary Glusser Perez. All of these members are excited about the industry and will play a greater role in terms of how policy forms.
Before we go, we mentioned yesterday that Swan Bitcoin is suing former employees and Proton Management for allegedly stealing its Bitcoin mining tech and secrets. Proton responded in a filing yesterday, arguing that Swan only owns a minority stake of a separate mining entity called 2040 Energy, and that Swan suffered no damage by Proton's activities. Proton denies the claim that it uses any of Swan's trade secrets. Okay, that's all for Crypto World today, but we'll be back again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.